Hi everybody. Had to look at it and make sure it was running. There's my car. I now live in Maine. I'm about 15 miles from 201 in Jackman, Maine. Probably 25 miles from Jackman itself. And this is my first place where I know that I may find some Bigfoot sign. Promising, but there's a lot. There's a lot going on. This is all forested land. Lumber companies own everything. So I have to be mindful that this gets clear cut about once every 20 years or so. So it's very super thick in here. And I have to get used to a totally different set of standards. What I'm used to, things being leaned like this guy here, this little guy right here. Everything's so thick in here that literally all of these little leaners that have been goofed around, leaned, broken off, could have came from up. So I have to take everything with a grain of salt to start with until I get used to it. And everything that I can walk down are these very old logging roads. You can look out through there. It's Dee's worst nightmare almost, because you have a laneway to walk down through, and in some places I can see maybe 50 yards in there. I have a stream to the right of me. Dee does not like these closed-in roads, and I can understand why, except for here in Maine, I do have moose. That's moose poop. I have moose, bears, mountain lions, very large deer, and I will be from now on most likely carrying protection with me, where I did not do that in New York, especially when I come out here at nighttime. But this is my first attempt at getting my eyes on moose poop. If you can see, this is the size of my finger. It looks like deer poop on steroids. Moose can be almost 9 feet tall on top of their head, so if they're pointing at me or pointing away from me, it could very seriously look like a Bigfoot. Unless, of course, you can see the horns. But most of them are female, so. I'm not attempting to be quiet. I'm trying to get my eyes on a lot of things out here. There's millions of acres of forest. Very few roads. Most of it is logged at 1 or 2 square miles at a shot. They just take a mile or two square miles and just clear cut the whole thing right down to nothing. And I don't know if the phone's going to show it, but out there about 30 yards right there is the beginning of another hill. I'm on a hill, but that's halfway up the hill, and that's light hitting the ground up there. That's not hitting trees. So some of this is very steep. There's very rocky. There's cliffs in some places, and it requires a lot of bug dope up here. Not a sponsor, but what I'm using is this Off Botanicals. It seems to work really good on the black flies. I also have weird things that I'm not used to, like mounds. See this mound right here, and the mound behind it is a little taller. Not sure if that was at some point put there by equipment, or exactly what exactly does that in the middle of the woods, but I'm going to say that that was equipment, because here is a line, and it looked like they went in and dug that hillside out here, probably to make this road. I've been on this road before a few times. Yeah, here's another spot where they dug in. I've been on this road a few times hunting with my brother-in-law. The times that I've come up here and decided that sooner or later I'm gonna live here, no doubt about it. So here I am. I live here now, out in the middle of nowhere. I will not be doing lives out here because there's only one cell phone tower that covers about 50 square miles. So if I'm not in town, I'm not doing a live. So every once in a while out here, if I get to just the right spot, I can get 1 bar of 4G and I could actually call for help. If you dial 911, your phone goes on high power mode. But if you don't have a signal, you don't have a signal. And get over here in the shade. I will attempt to show you what I'm dealing with. See, there's spots where so many trees have fallen. All of that is fallen trees in there. What I'm used to looking at was because I go in there all the time. Back in New York, I went in there all the time and I could see things that were different. So I could easily see whether it just fell from someplace or it was placed there. But here, because Bigfoot, Dogman, deer, and everything else, they could go anywhere they want to go. They do not have to stay anywhere. They don't, like down south, they have fields where they like to eat things and they plant stuff for them to eat. So they bed down in the scrub brush and stuff, and then they go to that field to eat every day. That's not, all they have to do is walk around here. They have literally just browse everywhere. Look, showing you the grass. There's grass in the middle of this road. There's no reason for them to stay in an area. There's lakes and streams all over the place. They could literally never touch the same 100 square yards of space ever again in their entire life. They can simply walk in a straight line very slowly, sleep wherever they are, eat wherever they are. The bucks are the only ones that will run around and try to find does, but everything is cover and everything is food for them out here. There's no reason for them to huddle up and stay in one spot, so it's very difficult. Bigfoot probably do the same thing. Roam around. Very harsh winters up here. It's the snow, once it falls, it doesn't melt. And winters are very long. This is June 15th, I think. June something. Middle of June. And now that I'm retired, I don't remember the days, but it's in the middle of June, and it's only 70 degrees today, and it's going down to 50 tonight. And that's the norm up here. When it gets to 80, it's hot. And I'll just show you what I was talking about before. Walking around at nighttime. Now I'm looking down a hill, out over. It looks like at one time, I don't know if you can still hear the stream, but it looks like at one time the stream actually ran here. In the wintertime, we get so much ice that the stream can actually cut a whole new canal through the woods. It does not necessarily have to stay in its bed. It gets iced over, and the water in the springtime goes over the top of all that ice and just makes totally new channels. It's very quiet here. People do come through occasionally. There's a chainsaw. But as you saw in the beginning, I had to walk around a big tree to get in here this far. Nobody has cut that. And I know down at the very bottom of this pathway that I'm running on, off to the left, there is a pond and some very large old pine trees that haven't been cut in a very long time. That's kind of where I'm headed. These small pines, what I'm looking at here, here's the size of my hand. You know, these things are 4 or 5 inches around. They've only been alive for 10, 12 years probably. Another 10 years they will come and they will cut this entire thing back down. They will leave seed trees, or it looks like what they do here. They will take certain types of pines and they will, it sounds funny, but they will fly a helicopter over the area that they just cut, and they will drop seedlings that are in ceramic pots that are shaped like that. And they'll drop them out of a helicopter and they will stick in the ground and bust that ceramic pot. And that's how they plant. They'll drop 1,000 of those in there, so they will be the first things that have a chance to grow. And the first things that have a chance to grow are the only things that get light. Everything grows really fast up here. Very short growing season, so the DNA of most of what grows here, that is written right in the DNA, that it grows as soon as it gets light. Here's one of my favorite spots, and you can see right there and right there, right here where I'm standing, something goes up and down here. Now I'm going to say that this one here, and by the fact that right there, down at the bottom down there, it's roughed up in a few places, that they may have set this to come up the bank and then use this with their hand to come up this little cliff right here. This cliff is probably 7 feet or so before it hits the ground there. But it's a nice little trout stream. down there. And I believe that that's private property down at the bottom, over here somewhere. People do own parts and pieces of this. But I've fished this corner a few times for trout. And I'm also a rock hound, so I love these little streams and all of those rocks. So back on task with this piece right here. This one is planted, and it looks like something uses it as a handhold to come up this once in a while to get up to this roadway that I'm on. And I don't know if you love woods and streams and find them beautiful and that kind of thing, but there's a reason why I moved up here. It is gorgeous, and there aren't any people. I think there's 850 or so people in the town of Jackman, and the next town that you can find, drop my hat, the next town that you can find is 40 something miles away, I think. The nearest Walmart is 72 miles away. The nearest Dollar General, should have wore a belt. My friends are pulling my pants down. You switch that with. I'll put my off in my back pocket, and I will put my friends in my hoodie pocket. There we go. A little better. All right. But anyway, it's very far to get to anything. Jackman has a grocery store and 2 gas stations, but no street lights, no stoplights. If you blink, you're gone. Very quaint little place. And it's up here out of the way in the middle of nowhere. And everything runs around the lumber mill that's in town. It's a lot more moose poop than I saw last year when I was in here. Stupid and put my sunglasses on. The sun goes away behind a cloud. I can't see a thing. And I know I'm not looking where you're looking at all. I'm just trying to point you forward, and sometimes you're like this, and sometimes you're like this, and I have no idea, but all right. I'm also gauging by the video. It's been 20 minute walk into the woods. And it's pretty flat. I came downhill, now I'm going uphill a little bit. Then I'm going to go down. I'm going to turn a left-hand corner up here somewhere and go down the hill into the deeper pines. And like I said, there people have here and there come with a chainsaw and made this accessible. This particular road is not an ATV trail. If you ever come to Jackman, Maine, you can rent ATVs in the town, and you'll get a map, and you can go down ATV trails, and it tells you basically how far you can go before you need to turn around and come back because you'll run out of gas. I don't feel alone right here. This has been cut, but it looks like the wind got to this area. There's a lot of blowdowns. Which is why I have to, like these big ones, Big ones, big ones, big ones. I have to kind of look at them really good. Try to figure out if there's anything odd about leaners, because leaners and X's out here are just a very natural thing. Odd things like that one. This whole mess is busted off right there, and that top fell but didn't go very far. It got stuck right there on that tree. And the rest of these look more naturally fallen than placed. I know the difference because I've been seeing them for years now, but when everything out there is leaning, I mean, even the local Bigfoot would have to do something different than just lean trees against other trees for any kind of information. Maybe it's a certain type of tree, given white birches are out here. Maybe triple trees, like making the A symbol that Dee and I have found in quite a few of those. We have theories about what they do when they just lean something and what it means when they start making what we would consider X's or A's or any type of a letter or some type of symbol in the woods. I'm not sure. They're not going to use our letters and numbers meaning anything. We just see it as that. But with so much going on here in the woods, they would have to do something. As far as I'm concerned, if I was trying to tell somebody something, it would have to be a certain shape, a certain type of tree, or something very different than just the average whole bunch of fallen down trees that are everywhere in here. And there may be no Bigfoot. And there are beavers. This is not super recent. Looks like probably last year this beaver decided to cut this popple tree down. And you can see that the beaver uses this to get down to the water. But with heavy duty wind and very heavy snow, you get this that's out in the open out in here like this, and it just caves all these trees in all at once. So I wanted to show you the beaver and the cliff again. It's down there. This should take a left up here. And then lead me down into some bigger white pine. This is some type of spruce trees. I'm going to have to become a better arborist since I'm up here to try to describe what things are. This is pine. But the flat trees, the ones with the flat leaves that look like that, like that, that is a spruce. And I don't know my spruces from all of my pines. I'm used to white pines. I know the difference between beech and birch and maple trees. oak trees. I know most of my hardwoods, but they plant some exotic trees up here. There's a lot of sycamore. There's yellow pine trees, which I can't think of their names either. I think tamarack are the yellow pine trees. They lose all of their needles in the fall and then grow them back in the springtime, like leaves, but they're bright. To me, they're bright yellow, and yes, I am colorblind, so. And I'm talking and I'm walking, and just like Dee, I do not want to sneak up on a Bigfoot, a moose, a bear, or anything. So unless I have a gun in my hand and I'm on purposely hunting out here, I'm definitely not going to be quiet. I'm going to snap branches and do things to cause everything to know where I am. That way, if it comes out, it's definitely knows way in advance that I was coming. I do not have any problem punching large holes in things that are stalking me on purpose when I'm trying to be loud and let them know that they can just let me go by. All right. This walk is longer than I remember. But I think I'm just starting to go down the hill up here. That looks like toilet paper, but it's not. It's white birch. All right. Right hand turn, and then the left hand turn down the hill. I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing here. It's going to be a half hour to get to this point. Walking is going to take me longer during the night. So if I'm going to do an evening video here into the darkness, then I'm going to have to start off during the light and do most of my video after I've already been in the woods and walking, so that I can walk down here very quickly and then come back. And you see this right here? I didn't notice it until I was in it. These trees here, these two, are snapped off back here. You can see where they have been busted off from. Over there is looks like a natural broken tree that had a lot of weight on it, so I would imagine because it's busted apart like that, that it was a snowfall. But then something made a funnel. See, this is one of the reasons why Dee instinctively hates this. You see this funnel right here? See how hard they made that escape route right here? Try to get there. See how hard they made this escape route? So by the time you get right here, you have a little bit of crap in front of you. Very hard to get through there. Very hard to get away out through this way. But something large with all these trees right here in one spot, something large could sit up there and jump down on your ass like a cougar or mountain lion, whichever they call them here. Bear usually are not ambush predators, but cougars, DMs, BFs, anything like a moose or a deer or something walking down this pathway where I just was, not paying attention straight up like that. And that even kind of looks like something has done it right there over this path. And also coming from the other way, jumping down on something, doing a grievous wound to it. It doesn't have any real good way to go. It can't go to the right. It can't go to the left. It has to go straight forward. And as you come and get past that ambush spot, it looks like they have still made a funnel here where you have to go down through at least this far. It looks like they kind of did it on purpose and made an ambush spot that you have to, from that back there, you have to go 50 yards before you can actually run right or left and get off the trail. And a good 20 yards on the other side of that. That's the perfect jump down on you ambush spot for something. My military mind, when I get in the woods and I start really looking at the woods for ambush spots and things like that, things and places where I don't really want to be or go, or what would be good for me to set an ambush up for somebody else, that is the perfect spot. And it looks kind of manufactured right there. All right, so this is where it takes a right and goes down the hill, and that there's a left hand. I've only been this way once. I think this used to be a four-wheeler trail, an ATV trail right through here. It's kind of a flat spot. Goes back to this corner and peters out. So at some point somebody came up here and flattened this off down to stone. And it's all that gray moss and stone right here. I don't know if they on purposely made a spot to camp or what, but it only goes back to those trees. I have to investigate a little bit during the daytime, because I don't like to go to places that I don't know where I am, in case I get off the trail, or know how far it takes to walk from where I was back to my car. I know there's no offshoots except for this one right there down to where I want to be. It's 34 minutes. I'm not walking all that slow. If I was investigating, because there's all kinds of these mounds and cliffs where things can be very, very close to you, laying on the ground or laying behind the mound. But as you can see, there's a tire right there that in the past human beings have used this area. And way back in the past, when they were doing logging, I say logging, when they were just coming out and picking specific trees, and then they would bring them to the bigger rivers and throw them in the river, and it would end up in Jackman, because Jackman has a kind of a lake out in front of it. See, nobody has been out here to cut this one, so I don't think people have been out using this in a year or two. That busted off from right there across here. Not hard to get around it, but nobody has decided to cut this beautiful blue spruce. All right, that was easy enough to get around. But this has been logged since the 1800s. This part of Maine. But now that we have logging tractors that basically just they mow down every single thing, and when they get to a tree they want to keep, it mows it down and goes through the tractor, and the tractor itself and the inside takes off all the limbs. Then when it spits it out the other end, it cuts it off to length and then grabs a hold of it and then drags it out like a bulldozer drag. These are big pieces of equipment. I'm not talking about something the size of a car. I'm talking about something the size of a tractor trailer. The tractor part of a tractor trailer anyway. Giant tires, some of them even have tracks. But it comes out here and they cut everything down. Okay. This is a pond out in here. It always has water in it because it's a spring, but it's never very full except for the very springtime when 4 feet of snow melts all at once. You gain a lot of these great big ponds. And now, not that I haven't already been walking through Dee's worst nightmare. I'm about to walk into her actual fear. These crowd in quite a bit. Now this moose poop. This cuts in down to that pond. But this is where I wanted to come and bring you all. As you can see, nobody drives a vehicle down here anymore. These seedlings are bigger than they were last year. They were only like that tall last year. But now I'm in an older piece of the forest. And this is going to if you can tell, chainsaw cut that off probably more like 10 years ago, if not longer than that. Now I'm going to get into completely unused section down in here after this pond. And I'm also on this side, I am now pretty far away from the stream. So now I've come up against a block right there. So I come out into the woods. Now I've walked out in through this woods a little bit near this pond. And let's see, 40 minutes. So I'm going to come out in here. a little bit more. Now, this is kind of what I wanted to show you. Once it gets older, once these trees are roughly 20 years old and it gets to where they're tall enough and they've beaten out all the ground scrub, it's easier to walk in here. You know, so now we're talking about some 25-year-old big trees. They haven't cut this in a long time. This one here. Yeah. And now I'm out into where the horse flies, and they have moose flies up here. So if you've seen horse flies in New York, you double the size of those. And they don't care too much about clothes. They'll bite you right through your clothes. So you have to spray your clothes with your bug dope. Now, I've walked off the trail here mostly for a good reason. Like, you can try to say that might be an X right there, but you can't say might. When you have woods 20 miles in every direction and there's all types of blowdowns and stuff, it's just, the only thing you can say is, yup, it's woods. And as far as where you'd think a Bigfoot could walk or would walk, something that's 8 or 9 feet tall and have horns that are 4 feet wide, would they rather walk through this type of what we would call open woods? Yes. But can they walk through the really thick stuff like it's not even there? Yes, because they're big. Can I follow a moose through some of this stuff? No, I can't. I could not force myself through some of that. Like down through there, over in there, thick, thick, thick. And they can plow through that like nothing. I cannot. But I wanted to come out in here to see if they had done anything that another Bigfoot walking through here could see. Now, at home, I would say that this had a good possibility right here of being placed there, because that was also placed there up there, and this right here looks like the top of that one that is backwards right here. There are also some similar ones. This one, that one had a root and is just leaning off that direction. That one had a root and it's leaning off in that direction. That one had a root and it's leaning off in that direction. All of that could happen under 4 feet of snow. So can you honestly say that you would, even if you lived out here 24/7, would you be able to pick out that little mess right there as being different from everywhere else? And the answer is no. It would take something, if you were a Bigfoot and you got, we're not going to say forced into this area, but if you got out in this area and came out here, blind, as it were, looking for other Bigfoots telling you water is this way, good food is this way, whatever have you. I know I came in over there. I'm back on the trail. The trail. That is the block off that was on the trail. This should go on a pretty steep down. I'm also back to the stream now. This should go down at a steep angle here sooner or later and bring me to the pond I'm looking for. Do I want to walk this far? 45 minutes in the dark before I even get to where I want to go? Do I want to walk 45 minutes out to get to my car in the dark to get to where I want to go? Especially going past a spot where I know seems to be an ambush spot. Maybe, maybe not. Depends on if I get down to the pond, the big pond where I want to get to. Here's another springtime puddle pond that only has water in the spring. I can see through the trees I can see the actual stream again, but the stream is about to leave me and take a right. And here is a spot right there. The stream is gonna leave me because there's a ridge over there. I don't know if it's gonna follow. I don't know if it follows me in here or not, because I think right here is where this thing takes a left. I was looking down in here to see if anything big comes up right here. It doesn't look like there's any footprints, but one good rain would wash them away. Once I find obvious Bigfoot area where I'm finding multiple patterns, or uprooted trees with the roots in the air, that would be something that a Bigfoot could easily see walking through the woods. If I was intelligent but did not have the communication skills probably of a human, and I was using things, would I use things like this? 1, 2, 3. Phone isn't showing it very well. These are stuck in the ground right there. But there's 1, 2, 3. And then right next to it, all of these are stuck in the ground. Stuck in the ground, stuck in the ground, stuck in the ground, stuck in the ground. Back there also stuck in the ground. They made these little teepee, a 3 here and like a 5 or 6 right here. From this little bit of distance, Back on the trail. You can still see them. And it looks suspiciously obvious. Come in a little bit. Those three. And that batch of them right there. That does not look natural. There's enough of them right there. Leaned in. And there's an A. You see that? Lean, lean, lean. And then there's this one here that forms an A at the bottom. Back out a little bit now that I've shown you. Now to the phone. And the person that's not very woodsy, you can walk right past that, but that to me is suspiciously obvious. A bunch of lean trees all in a spot like that. Now, you know, your average one leaner and little lean trees, and the fact that there's a lot of blowdowns in here. But that looks suspicious that they did not come from above, and they certainly didn't come from the this open area. So if they fell there, it would be very suspicious. They were brought there and all hooked up like that. Now in front of me, I have the end of the line here. You can see out and over, and you can see that this is like a turnaround right here. This pond out into the lake, out in the trees, these bigger trees. This pond is out beside me. Yeah. Right. So now I don't know if it's going to show you. But now the water is coming back towards me. See that? So I came back to the water. And I was only at this pond one time. And I can't remember if I got to the pond from the first place up there that I walked into where the big trees are. Or if I came to the stream and took a left. I don't remember. So now I'm in the territory of exactly why I came out here during the day. And we're at 54 minutes. Okay. Here's a small stream. Now I'm on deer/moose trail. I gotta keep my wits about me in here. Because I know I do not know these woods by like the back of my hand. I know enough to get me lost. and that is dangerous. So I'm going to stay on this deer trail. All right. The sun is up high still and to my right. Walk right through here. And you're like, oh, just go to Google Earth. Like I said, there's one cell phone tower and it's 20 some odd miles away from me. And if that's the stream, and I think I'm walking towards the pond. My stepbrother brought me out here the last time I was out here. So I'm not sure I'm going to hit it on the first try. This is another problem. You hit a clearing, then you hit the ferns. A rather large bear could be laying down in those ferns and you would never see it. Bigfoot, moose with its head down anyway, laying down in these ferns, and you would not see it until it's way too late. You are not going to outrun any of these large animals. Alright, as you can see, the sun coming through the trees is off to my right. So the sun going down is going to be to my left on the way back out if I have a hard time finding this pond. And I came down in here because the last time I was in here was winter time. There was 4 inches of snow on the ground and there was a lot of deer tracks. So I know there's a lot of food for big game out here. I'm still on the edge, I guess I want to say, as to whether Bigfoot would take down big game or not. That looks like it's back uphill over there. We have some blowdowns over here. Starting to get warm, and that's attracting a lot more bugs. He knows exactly where this pond is, and I do not. So I think I'm seeing out through over there. So either the stream has moved or I'm near the pond. So I'm looking for scratches on trees for bears. I'm looking for scratches on trees for big cat. I'm looking for Bigfoot sign. I don't know what dogmen do at all, but if there's Bigfoot, there's dogmen somewhere around, or at least there are in Ohio. I can only go with what I know, and I know more about D than I know about anywhere else. Alright. I think I have missed the pond. I think I'm back to the stream. This particular stream has a set of power lines running next to it in a straight line because, like I said, some people own way back here and they have millions and millions of dollars to just throw on a camp. And if they want electricity, they have to pay for the power lines. And I believe I'm seeing power lines right through there. So that is a cut power line. So I've definitely come too far. I'm not sure. I have definitely missed the pond that I was looking for, because now all three of these directions I'm walking back uphill. I do not see deliberate Bigfoot sign. Those little trees were very suspicious. But they were also very small. And the outskirts of Bigfoot areas are marked with giant tree structures, not little ones. Little ones would have to be from their children, and you would keep your children in the center of your area, not on the outside of it. Whew, hotness. Walking uphill now. Road is back to my left. Since I'm walking with the sunshine at the moment. I missed Butterfly Pond. Do not know where it is now. Gonna need to Google Earth it and stop trying to find it at the moment. All right, so still a lot of moose poop through here. Thought for a second I could see out through, but I can't. And unlike D, there is absolutely not anything like listening for vehicles. Because even if you do hear a four-wheeler, they could be 40 or 50 miles down an ATV trail away from town, depending on which one they're on. Okay, I have missed the pond. I'm going to walk out in these woods just a little bit. As you can see, it's very hard to walk through here. You can't see very far. There's a lot of downed trees. This one's busted off about chest level, but like it or not, male moose do that. So there's no blaming it on anything. This is a down tree right here with moss. This seems like it would make a good bed for something, but it doesn't look like it was on purposely made, nor was it spruced up to be better. There's very few of these. You can see this leaner tree. Very few leaners in here. But like I said, if you were a moose, a deer, Bigfoot, anything, you could simply just keep walking and walking and walking. And then you'll end up with this, which makes it look twice as far away and half as thick. There's no way I'm walking through that. This is a little opening, a little marsh. That is not the pond I'm looking for, so I'm going to have to go back around the way I came. It's already been an hour where I'm at, so it will not be unless I camp out here. There's not going to be a nighttime excursion out through this. This is far too rough. And this is going to be like that just about everywhere I go. I'm going to have to be on the logging trail, yelling for them at nighttime, because as this will show you, like, this has just turned into a nightmare trying to go straight forward. I got up on top of this hill. On top of this hill, the wind and the snow has pushed down a bunch of these trees. It's making it rather difficult for me to navigate. So go back down in the way I came. And I did miss Butterfly Pond, and that's got to be down in that direction somewhere. And right now I'm walking back towards my road around these blown down trees. And to try to do this at nighttime, you would instantly lose your sense of direction. Deer poop. You would immediately lose your direction. You would have no way without using a light or something, constantly reading a compass, because all this back and forth and roundy round I have to do. The best thing you could do at nighttime in here is just simply stop right where you're at and wait for daylight so you can get some kind of bearing of which way is east at least. Because I'm having to look at my feet and out about 50 yards at the most. I can't really look around because every step I take makes me look down. And I even know that I'm headed out at a slight angle. I'm not sure what cut me off when I was in the woods, but it wasn't too long ago, maybe 15 minutes. And I'm back on the trail, the end of the trail here, where it comes down and hits the stream again. I have missed Butterfly Pond. I think when I first went in the woods over there a little ways up, that's where I was supposed to go down the hill, but I will have to look it up on Google Earth after I get back to town, how far down this road I have to go before I turn left. But I am no longer in the middle of the woods, lost or anything. It's going to take me roughly almost an hour to get back to my car, so I will cut it off right here. You guys have a wonderful day while I walk around in the beautiful upper Maine here. One more shot of my happy creek that I've been following. Beautiful, beautiful trout streams. All right, have a good one. Bye-bye. Okay, just like I thought, I went to the very end of it down there by the stream, and I went down too far. I knew that there was a little trailway that came down through here because somebody had a boat. And here is Butterfly Pond. Somebody has not turned their boat over in a long time. They don't use a very good paddle. But let's see how close I can get to it here without getting wet. But there's Butterfly Pond. And I have to say that if you were a Bigfoot and you wanted to be well away from everybody else, protected by the wind and the biggest part of the snow by some pretty good sized pine trees, but still be able to get into areas of sunshine without going anywhere, that this would be the ideal spot. It's kind of obvious humans don't come here very often, a couple times a season maybe. There's all kinds of deer and moose sign around. As far as Bigfoot sign is, like I said, it's very difficult for you to just look out here and try to find the difference between all the blowdowns and what might be Bigfoot sign. It's got to be, would have to be spectacular for me to blame it on them, or very odd, like the trees in the up on the Maine Trail. They call it a Maine Trail. Yeah, M-A-I-N-E trail, because there's just maybe 4 or 5 people go down it a year, and most of those would be in the fall time when it's hunting season. It's only 70 degrees out here, but I'm sweating away. But it is just incredibly beautiful out here. So I'm going to make a couple noises since I know there is nobody that can hear me, no humans. Whoop! Whoop whoop! Baby duck. Probably just said, "Come kill me, I'm an asshole." But... Herbert! And of course, there's always the age-old Now this, I think I could find at nighttime and find my way back out of. It's not too tough. It's a very old trail. And that first little pond, we just heard shuffling feet, like like that. Anyway, that first little pond that had water in it, that little four-wheeler trail that goes down by the pond there, that's this little trail right here. So I could find that and find my way back out. Deer poop as compared to moose poop. If you stop, you get carried away by the mosquitoes. They're not biting me, but they're bothering me. Whoop! But I still have not found anything spectacularly Bigfootish, since there are literally thousands of trees leaned everywhere. Axes and not very many trees bowed, you know, with the big bow. I only found one of those so far. It wasn't very high off the ground. But most of the trees that I've been walking through are whatever this type of spruce tree is. Let's see if I can get the phone close enough to show the leafies. Yeah, whatever spruce that is, that's the predominant thing here. It doesn't seem like this type of spruce tree gives off pine cones, if that makes any help to you. So the little ones look like this. I'm used to white pine and red pine because I had that in New York when I was growing up. But a lot of these I don't recognize at all. When I see a tamarack, there aren't too many on this side. When I go over on the other side of Jackman, see, there's the pond right there. It's not very far back from this pond. I just walked right past it and then got lost. Or as lost as I ever allow myself to get anyway. But the main trail is right up here. To get off of this four-wheeler trail. And then the trail I walked in on is up through there, but it's still going to be 45 minutes to my truck. So I'm going to let you go unless I find something else to look at. This will be the end, and you guys have a great day. Other than getting eaten alive by these mosquitoes right through my bug dope. TS Rock. There's my 2 fingers. Now, that's all leaves. There are no other rocks anywhere. That is laying on top of everything else. In order for that to happen, for that rock to be there, I'm going to say that takes hands. Could a person have been carrying that rock and just dropped it there? Yes. But that gives you the, what the heck? Those are the things, like, I'm walking along, and here's the trail, here's beside the trail, here's all over the trail. This is all spruce, pine, leaves on the ground. There is no, I'm not walking through a gravel bed or on top of anything. You can't hear the gravel crunching on the road. All you see is moss and pine needles. and bugs. And I've been walking through the moss and pine needles and bugs for quite some time now, and then all of a sudden a rock. Your average person would just step over it and never notice the total oddity that rock is. You can see there's things that humans have done in the past, places they've dug. I'm sure at one point this was all rock, but that rock should be stuck in like this rock here. It shouldn't be laying on top. And I'm still not finding rocks on top. I saw one that I could see, see through to see it. And even where the deer or something has scratched the ground, you don't see the big rocks like that. So, just things like that in the woods. When you're walking around, just look for odd, things that are ever so weird. And try to come up with a reason for it to be there. Okay, I'm coming into some rocks now as I come up this hill here. But I'm not coming up with any rocks that are laying on top of the ground. And certainly not down there in the flat where the moss and the needles were so thick. Anyway, be on the lookout. Always look for things that are strange. Once you start getting wood's eyes, or what I call wood's eyes, you put your wood's eyes on, and you'll start seeing things that are like unnaturally placed. And that could be a sign of Bigfoot, or a sign of human activity in a place where you didn't think there was any, or something like that. So you will see things that are odd. Sometimes you would think that would be impossible unless somebody lightly placed it there. But I'm back out to close to the ambush spot. Yep, this is the ambush spot right here, where something could, you see that big tree that comes up to the bottom right there? Right there. Something could lay right there. Especially a mountain lion is playing big enough. And just smash you to the freaking ground the second you come underneath these trees to get out, to go through this. You won't be looking up because of all this stuff. And right here, as soon as you come out of that, wham! Flatten you to the ground from right there. Grab you by the neck. Or if they're doing it like a lioness does, when they grab something bigger, they grab them around the nose and mouth so they can't breathe. The lioness breathes through her mouth, but suffocates the bigger animal to death with her mouth. They're not stupid animals. They know how to survive, and they've killed just about everything that's out here to eat it. They know how to do it, when to do it. If they're not all that hungry, then they won't risk themselves on something that can fight back. But if they're starving, better believe they don't care that they know that humans not only can fight back, but a lot of humans come looking for that human when they don't come back. They're not dumb. They know that shit happens. Anyway, I'm about halfway back out to my truck, and safe and sound so far. Have a good day.